here, and I work with the business management group at DEP for ASEAN territories. So the topic given to me is impact of key regulations such as BS6 to the automotive industry. So when we talk about BS6, we know it's about pollution and it's about global warming, etc. So perhaps the inconvenient truths do not go away just because they are not seen. Indeed, when they are not responded to, their significance doesn't diminish, it grows. So this was mentioned by Al Gore in his book called Inconvenient Truth on global warming. It's a planetary emergency of global warming and what we can do about it. Our country is one of the most polluted countries in the world, and according to the World Air Quality Report of 2019, compiled by IQ Air, they say that 21 cities in India among 30 is most polluted. And they say Ghaziabad is the most polluted city in the world, followed by Hotan in China, Gujranwala and Faisalabad in Pakistan, and Delhi in the 5th place. So this data suggests that government needs to take immediate action in all areas, especially vehicles pollution, to control deterioration in air quality. So as per the edict of the highest court in the country from April 1st, 2020, Bharat Stage VI emission norm would be come into force, and no BS4 vehicle, light duty, medium duty, and heavy duty shall be sold across the country. The stringent move is a critical step towards cleaner fuel. To explain it further, Bharat Stage Emission Standards, BSCS, is based on European emission standards to keep air pollutants emitted by the internal combustion engine of vehicles. It was introduced by the government in 2000 and has over the years been updated continuously to BS2, BS3 in 2001 and 2005, respectively. In 2016, the government took a stricter action towards rising pollution from vehicular exhaust and announced that the country would skip BS5 and get into BS6 standards by 2020. So why BS6? BS6 will contain 5 times lesser sulfur content, 10 parts per million as against 50 parts per million of BS4 for diesel vehicle, and for petrol, 10 compared to 30 parts per million of sulfur. And the oxides of nitrogen that is produced as a result of combustion will be brought by about 70% for diesel, and the particulate levels down by 82% from BS6 norms. And the BS6 will also have advanced technology that will enable real-time tracking of emissions for the first time in India. It will measure a vehicle's emission real-time conditions against the laboratory conditions. Additional components need to be fitted, like diesel particulate filter DPF and selective catalytic reduction SCR are being introduced with the rollout of BS6 norms, which are not a part of BS4. An onboard diagnostics OBD device, equipment that informs the vehicle owner or technician of the efficiency of the system in vehicle, that has now become mandatory with the introduction of BS6. This talks about the global emission legislation. You can see different countries follow different types of legislations. In California, it's LEV 3, and Europe, it's Euro 60 with RDE, real drive emission. And India, it's Bharat Stage VI by 2020. So India is taking a lot of initiatives to address the global warming, and it's at par to the global standards. So in the next few slides will talk about the impact on different segments of auto industry. First, I start with the automakers. Before we get into that, this BS, they say for conversion from BS3 to BS4, oil companies are learned to have put 30,000 crore rupees between 2005 and 2010 to upgrade, and auto industry has made investments of a similar size. Oil firms will have to invest another 50,000 crore to upgrade to fuel quality of BS6. So that's on the fuel side, and vehicles must be fitted with DPF, a cylindrical object, mounted vertically inside the engine compartment. In India, where small cars are preferred, fitting DPF in the limited bonnet space would involve major design and re-engineering work. And bonnet length may have to be increased, which would make vehicles longer with 4 meters and attract more excise duty. And the next one is SCR, Selective Catalytic Reduction Module, to be equipped with to reduce the oxides of nitrogen, which is done by injecting an aqueous urea solution, AUS32, into the system when the exhaust is moving. For this, a container need to be put on board. Also, an anti-defect mechanism has to be devised so that the vehicle goes into limp mode if AUS32 is not refilled by the driver. I'll talk more about SCR. The Selective Catalytic Reduction System is an advanced exhaust after-treatment system to reduce NOx. The engine controls the production of PM by increasing the combustion temperature, thus limiting it within the permissible value. NOx increases while doing so, which is then controlled outside using a catalytic reduction process. SCR spreads aqueous urea solution, AUS32, in the exhaust system. Ammonia from AUS32 combines with NOx in the presence of catalyst to form harmless byproducts like nitrogen vapor, thus emitting clean gases. So what are the concerns? Shifting to a totally new emission standard was not that simple for the automakers. It took a lot of time to develop a new kind of engine to meet with the new emission standards, and it comes at a cost which eventually makes the vehicle expensive for the end consumers. Increase in price is a major concern for the auto industry, as it would affect the demand of the vehicle. Also, rise in okay, this is not valid, sorry about that. Again, the sector has seen a lot of downturn, in inventory pile-up. Vehicles are not able to sell because of the financial issues and regulations in the finance sector, and the insurance costs, etc., which are led to lower demand and thus huge pile-up of inventory, which even with huge discounts could not be cleared. And there has been certain regulatory changes, like inclusion of mandatory safety features, which has also increased the price of the vehicles. And vehicles are levied at 28% GST, whereas auto companies are hardly able to generate 8% returns. Thus, to be able to bring back the growth story in the sector, the auto manufacturers have requested the government to lower the tax rate from 28 to 18%. And the fuel, if it's not available for BS6, then auto companies won't be able to sell the vehicles unless there is enough fuel available across India. Then the last one is they're forced to cut down the production due to inventory pileup of BS3 and BS4 vehicles. Now the new emission norms are like a big barrier in front of the auto sector. So impact on customers. BS6 likely impact on all the segments of passenger vehicles are like about estimated price hike is between 10 to 15%. The diesel passenger vehicles are talking about 10 to 15% hike, LCVs 10 to 15% hikes, and medium and heavy commercial 8 to 10, and petrol passenger vehicles 3%, and two-wheelers 10%. There's been a lot of bubbles, on on BS6. So I'll touch upon some of these. Like, can I convert my old car to meet the BS6 emissions norms? You can. Your old car definitely can convert. However, it requires time and money, and it's illegal. And the next one is, can BS6 engine run on BS4 fuel? Does it meet BS6 emission standards? The emission from tailpipe of BS6 vehicles should match the BS6 norms, and this is possible only if BS6 fuel is filled in BS6 cars. While BS6 car can run on BS4 fuel, it doesn't comply with the BS6 norms. And the next one is, what about what next after BS6? So there is nothing new emission norms set by the governing body. However, there may be a second version of BS6 which will include RDE, real drive emissions cycle. As per the law, the Automotive Research Association of India will test new vehicles in real world conditions to ascertain the level of pollution. Is the BS6 fuel expensive compared to BS4 fuel? Before the nationwide rollout of BS6 fuel, it has been implemented in Delhi and NCR. The fuel price was not different between BS6 and BS4. However, it can change once it's implemented across the country due to input costs incurred by oil marketing companies. And then what are CAFE norms? The central government proposed to introduce the corporate average fuel efficiency, CAFE, in sync with the global auto industry. Under these norms, cars are expected to be 30% fuel efficient from 2022. So through CAFE norms, the fuel efficiency will be decided on how many liters does a vehicle consume while running 100 kilometers. Why there is no BS5? So the first emission norm was introduced in 2000 and second in 2005 and 2010. So there's a big gap prompted. BS4 was implemented in 2017. The big gap prompted the government to skip BS5 and jump to BS6 in an effort to reduce the pollution of the country. I'll talk about the impact on auto dealers. Can a dealer sell and register the BS4 vehicles or after 1st April 2020? No. As per the Ministry of Road Transport and the Supreme Court judgment, no manufacturer dealer can sell or register the vehicle on after 1st April 2020. It clearly indicates that all the BS4 vehicle has to undergo the complete registration process within 31st March. So what will happen if a dealer has sold unsold stock with him? Since last date of the sale and registration is 31st March, they cannot sell these vehicles. The dealer in situation has only two options. He can return the vehicle to the manufacturer. He has to dismantle the vehicle and scrap, or he can use the spare parts for the said vehicle. Moreover, these vehicles will be blocked for billing both by manufacturers in their software, the Vahan portal, by the government. Yeah, there are other points too, but it's less significant. I'm going to skip for the time being. Next is what are the impact on component suppliers? So with the BS6 norms, the only line of component suppliers which shined over the last 2 years is the suppliers in the exhaust treatment space, the engine players, and the electrical and electronic system unit manufacturers. All these three segments contribute about 30% of the total auto component production in India. Other than that, it's not a great story for the other segments of component supplies. What are the components required for BS6? Of course, new safety features like for BS6 safety, airbags, anti-lock brake system, and for the vehicle should have high ground clearance and high angle of approach and departure, and sensors, digital immobilizer, etc. The fuel efficiency norms I already touched upon. For the petrol passenger vehicle, the NOx limit is 60 mg for BS6 compared to BS4, which is 80 mg. And for diesel passenger vehicle, the NOx is 80 mg compared to 250 mg. And particulate matter PM level for diesel passenger vehicle is 4.5 mg limit compared to 25 mg. The cleaner fuel, it's already available as per the news report. They say Indian Oil Corporation begins dispensing cleaner BS6 petrol in India. So it's been already started. The oil marketing companies have already started dispensing clean fuels across the country. So I talked about the industry, and now I should talk about what DEP's role in the entire shift to BS6. So before that, I will mention a little bit of DEP. DEP is a consulting and a product company started in Michigan in 1998, and over a period of years, last 20 years, every year we either generated and launched a new product or a new service solution, or started a new office in a different territory. So we moved on and we progressed in the last 20 years, and last year was our anniversary, 20th anniversary. So the capabilities which DEP. DEP has the capability of design and development of high-efficiency engines, and this we are achieving through advanced low-temperature combustion strategies. So this will enable high fuel efficiency and very low nitrogen and particulate matter emissions. We take an existing gasoline engine and increase the compression. These are all examples I'm talking about. We take an existing gasoline engine and increase the compression ratio, change some other parameters, etc., and try to achieve a combustion strategy similar to a diesel engine. So using the best, deploying the best of each engines and developing a new engine based on that. So this talk about how from the test bench, the engine, we generate all the engine operating conditions, and it will be put into the GT power, the 1D engine performance model generation. All the studies will be done, and that along with the 3D combustion simulation, we generate a lot of data. And the combustion strategies which we adopt is like a fuel injection strategy, increased combustion ratio, combustion chamber design, fuel selection, etc. So we have the capability to that, and we use the benefits of diesel engine as well as the gasoline fuel, which is high thermal efficiency for diesel engine and lesser emission for gasoline fuel. So we use all this multiple scenarios and develop a new engine. And we have done this for one of the major engine maker across the world. And that engine was displayed at the Geneva Auto Show in 2019. So we delivered a functional wall train, which included design, simulation, and camera profile definition. And another one is a GDCI program for Delphi Hyundai GDCI engine. This engine was put in the Sonata, Hyundai Sonata car. So next one is the OBD requirement, which we saw in that industry presentation. DEP has its own ion-based sensing technology in internal combustion engines. Most of the pressure sensor, combustion sensor, etc., available so far in the lab environment. Here we are talking about a sensor in each cylinder for real-time sensing while vehicle is running. So each cycle in each cylinder will have combustion, and ion current will be generated in the combustion chamber. Based on the amount of ion current is being produced, the sensor characterizes different parameters in real time. This will be calibrated using the signal processing, and the data will be sent to ECU, engine control and diagnostics unit. This unit will develop necessary instructions to improve the engine performance and emission control, and this data will go to engine control unit, which will make the necessary decisions pertaining to emission and performance. Ion sensor can be used for multiple applications like timing, sensor for neutral engines, transient calibration, combustion sensor, pressure parameters, flame speed, performance sensor for cylinder imbalance, emission sensor, which we talk about, particulars, NOx, pressure sensor for full pressure trace derived from the ion signal. And the device is pretty simple. We don't need an extra tool for that. The existing the fuel injector or glow plug or spark plug of the engine, we can use it and enable it to do both their respective functionality and sensing. So it has a decoder, black box hardware and software built in it, and also a diagnostic kit to real-time watch and track all the performance of fuel economy and performance, etc. So ion sensor is proven. We have implemented in Isuzu. The system successfully implemented for key parameters such as peak pressure, NOx, emissions, soot emissions, and start of combustion were recorded for various engine operating conditions. And there was a high degree of correlation obtained between IC sensor measurements and lab equipments. So these are the capabilities of DEP in the scenario of the shift of BS6. One is the development of high fuel efficiency engines, and second is the ion sensor. And we have a lot of capabilities in the exhaust system space too, which have not put it because of the time constraint. So that's for us. And the high efficiency engines I pointed out, it's not limited to gasoline and diesel, but also for multi-fuels like propane, ethanol, CNG, everything we can definitely implement. So that brings to the last slide, which is what are the key takeaways from this entire presentation on BS6? It's cut down of pollution, definitely, and there could be higher prices of the car, and demand, not sure what's going to happen. And GST rate, it needs to be optimized, and there's a proposal given to the government. And emission at source, reduction of emission at source, that's what DEP believes, and the associated high-end engineering capabilities. So while we are talking, there has been a move to shift the BS6 to a couple of months from now. So extension, there is a proposal given by the Federation of Automotive Dealers to the Supreme Court. So that's in process. But I don't know the latest and greatest information of that. I just know that it's a proposal given to extend it because of